There's one person who had a good morning on Emmy nominations day. It was Rickey Minor. He received 2 Emmy nominations for his work on Aretha, a Grammy celebration for the Queen of Soul, and for the Oscars. He is a Emmy-winning music director, and this is his 8th and 9th nominations. I'm Zach Laws of Gold Derby, and with me now is Mr. Rickey Minor. First of all, let me ask you, I know it's a pleasure to be nominated, but how is it competing against yourself?
So a couple of years ago, I had the same thing happen, which is like crazy in the first place to be nominated, but to have 2 nominations in the same category. And so I won my first one being against myself. So I think that that's probably a good thing, that I should try to be against myself as often as possible.
Yeah, I think that maybe law of averages says that it's a good thing to compete against yourself if you're Rickey Minor. Let me first off start by asking you about Aretha. Talk a bit about just the significance of that event. I mean, there's this gathering of musicians and stars. It's produced by Tyler Perry, and it's all this celebration of Aretha Franklin's music. Talk a bit about just the specialness and the significance of that event.
Well, you know, it was hosted by Tyler Perry, but produced by the Grammys and Ken Ehrlich and Jesse Collins, Clive Davis, and a lot of people involved in that project. Aretha, I mean, what can you say, man? I mean, the greatest voice of our generation and arguably of all time. I mean, she everything that she sang, everything meant something. And so to try to recreate or try to create moments that were so organic for her, it's a challenge. And I think that, you know, people stepped up to it. And for me, having worked with her and over the last 20 years, having more and more contact and arranging for her and doing specials and helping her with her live show and having her on the Kennedy Center, which was one of her last televised performances, singing for Carole King. So that for me is a tall order and a huge honor to honor the Queen.
Talk a little bit more, if you will, about working with Aretha. I mean, we all know her as this great, brilliant musician, but who was she as a person? What was she like to collaborate with?
So Aretha came from the school of no nonsense. I mean, honey, it's either right or it's wrong. And she wants it right. So it's interesting, you know, like she would leave very long messages on my voicemail, just so beautiful, articulating what she wanted and how she wanted. She was a singer, but she was also a musician's musician. She played great piano, and whenever she played the piano as a singer, is wonderful because she can lead herself through wherever she wants to go. So she can give leading tones to lead her to where she's going. And sometimes when you're a singer, a pianist may play a tone that leads you into a place that you don't want to go, lead you into a higher a note, but you were looking to go down first. And so as a singer and a pianist, she had the perfect combination, and she had soul. I mean, the way she played is unlike any other piano player because it's her church upbringing, and it's just her natural inclination to make it feel good. So as a person, it was, you know, she could be very difficult because it's demanding. When you know what you want, you know, you're going to say, this is what I want, and be very clear about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you really do see just the impact that she had on so many other musicians. I mean, looking at the number of people who are assembled for this, it's just a who's who of the best in the business. Talk about getting everybody involved in this thing and working with all these people.
There were so many people that wanted to be involved. I mean, we have a 2-hour show, which is basically an hour and 40 minutes or so of content. And it's very, very difficult. I mean, we had a long list, and there were a lot of people who wanted to be there, who, based on scheduling, couldn't be there. The dates moved around a little bit as we tried to find a window to put this together and a timing. So some of the people that I can't think of any right now by name, but a lot of them were ready when we had the date originally booked, which was supposed to be just a performance for her in November to honor her. And she was alive at the time, and then she passed, and then it was like, okay, well, this should be not just a live concert. This should be televised now that this is really honoring her after her passing. So we had a lot of great talent, and the challenge is in finding the key songs for each artist and trying to make it special for them, because otherwise it's hard to do. And I think that people came on and really poured their heart and soul to honor her.
I'm so fascinated by how you made the selections of who's going to sing what. I mean, did some people come in with like their own personal, like, I want to be the person who's going to sing R-E-S-P-C-T, or, how did you go about doing that?
It's like we do every show. We start with a long list of songs that we think would be great. And then the artists call and they go, okay, Rickey, what you got for me? What do you think that I could do? Some come in and say, I'd like to do this. And it's really whoever gets the song first. So, you put the booking calls out, and whoever calls back first kind of gets a first stab at the material that they're interested in. They may be interested in something, and I may have a suggestion that they haven't thought about that suits them a little better. Because just because you want to sing respect, that's maybe not your thing, And I think that it's about casting and helping them find that song that they connect to. Because a lot of songs are great to listen to, but I mean, face it, we all can't sing them, So you have to find the song that suits you, the song that lets you shine and lets you sing from your heart to Aretha. So it's not as complicated as it seems, but yet the simple can become complicated. And my job is to make the complicated simple.
And take us there onto the day of the event. I mean, what kind of, just tell us a bit about the preparation that has to go into mounting a live event like this with so many people and so many moving objects. And I mean, how do you, as a music director, stay focused on what you're doing in the moment?
Well, no one does it alone. So I have an incredible team of musicians, arrangers, staff, copyists. I mean, all of that stuff has to work in a timely manner. We have 2 6-hour days of rehearsal, and then we're filming. So it's not a lot of time. So it's really in the prep work. And if you have a great team, I mean, it's coordinating with every agent, publicist, manager, and making sure that the artist is getting the material that they need to prepare for it. And we have to rely on each other, that they get the material in time. And I have to rely that the artist really takes the time to do it. And that's a hard thing, because these artists have big careers and they're so busy. Every second of every day is busy. I mean, for example, you take, we had an off-site rehearsal. We had 2 days rehearsal and an off-site rehearsal with everyone, and then it was the day of the show. So you get someone like John Legend, who comes in always ready, always prepared, always on time. We had spoken about how we want to do the arrangement, and once we get there, we're open to fixing, changing, and making sure that it gets the vibe and that he can connect to it. Because even the best idea, I don't care. I want the best idea. It doesn't care to me where it comes from. In this case, John had the best idea, which is let's take the band out and let's simplify it, and let's just do that piano and singers. Let's try that. Now that we've done it with what we talked about with the band, let's strip it back. It was effective. And so there was no question about it. And there's no pushback from me to do it one way or the other. I just want it to be the best and where they feel the most comfortable, because if they're at their best, then we're all going to shine.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to wonder, when you're doing this event, obviously you're focused on what you're doing. Is there ever, was there a moment during the show at all that just made you say, like, man, this performance is incredible. I mean, are you ever able to just kind of like enjoy it from that level, or are you so focused on what you're doing that you have to kind of just take yourself out of it and watch it afterwards on tape?
No, I have to stay in. I have to stay in because there's just like a quarterback who pulls himself out mentally out of the game because it's the game. So as the quarterback, I'm also playing, but I'm driving the train, and I have to listen. It's weird because as a sideman, I can play and really lock in and be a great sideman. But as a leader, you have to listen to everything and everyone and listen to the singer. And like Celine, if she's holding a note longer, I have to be able to watch her, watch for her body language, listen to her, and make sure that we hit her right on the downbeat when she comes back in. So it's you have to be in the game, or else you're going to be elsewhere, and everyone's going to look for you for leadership. It's okay for everyone else to drift, but you can't drift. Not as a leader. You have to make sure that everyone knows where they need to be. Keep them, keep their attention going, make sure that and I'm talking to them through the show. So in between songs or commercial, or while there's announcement going on and introducing some presenter, I can talk to the band and make sure that they're engaged. They know what's coming up next. This is what's happening. There's a sax solo coming on this. There's going to be a drum pickup bringing us in, coming into this next song, blah, blah, blah. And just keep them engaged, keep them, because you can just drift and then you lose people.
Let me use that then as a way to segue into your other nomination, which is for the Oscars. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, was this the first time that you had worked on the Oscars as music director?
This is the first time I've worked on it as music director. I worked on it as Whitney's music director when she was nominated, and James Ingram when he was nominated for Best Song.
Okay.
But in this capacity, absolutely.
So, I mean, you've worked on the Emmys, you've worked on the Grammys, you've worked on the Kennedy Center Honors, and a whole bunch of other different award shows. How does doing the Oscars compare to working on one of those?
Well, the Oscars is such a big machine. I mean, the other shows are amazing, and I have a great staff on that. But I've never had the kind of support that the Oscars was able to afford me, and the sound team, the whole team that does the show, they've been doing it for years. So the advantage to having people there who have done a show at this level, 3 hours live, 3 hours plus live. And so I leaned on the people who have done it before. And in the end, my job is to do several performances for Best Song and basically get people on stage, get them off in time, keep the show moving musically, and support the producers' creative. And that's really your job, is to get out of the way and follow the lead of the producers and then add value. And if you're not focused on adding value of how to make it better, then you're in it for the wrong reason.
And I assume that just like with Aretha, I mean, you've really got to be on your toes, anticipating what's going to come next. And when you got to start, playing the exit music, and when you got to prepare for the songs. I mean, just talk a little bit about like the sort of nitty gritty, and like, how do you prepare for, a live event where there is unpredictability to it?
Yeah. I mean, the Aretha thing, when we do shows that are taped and posted later, and pre-recorded, we still go in like this is a live show. So that way we don't miss the energy, and we never try to go back and do another song or do it twice, because then you lose you lose the spontaneity of what you did, and you try to repeat that. So everyone approached it, I think we might have gone and caught the intro of something and had a bad mic or something on Aretha, but the Oscars, bad mic or not, the train's going to keep moving. So we prepare all the music. Once the announcements come out, then we start laying out how the show should feel. And as we get the presenters, I try to match musically what I feel pacing wise would work for that as a play on for those presenters. And so we really worked hard at having a nice, diverse music with a lot of energy. And I think we achieved that.
I wanted to ask you about another job that you had throughout your career. I mean, you worked as the band leader and music director on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno for about 4 or 5 years. Talk a bit about doing that day after day after day, having to essentially, produce not a live show, but, a nightly talk show every single week.
It was so great. Another, because I'm sitting here talking to you and I can't believe my life. So I'm thinking, I'm sitting here with Jay and, I have my band with me, guys who have been with me some 30 years. And so it's a second language, but the same thing. We look at my job is to make sure that the audience in the studio is excited and engaged. So we try to have music with a lot of energy. We add a new material every week. We have skits to prepare. So we come in and we pre-record music for some of the skits. And then, because I have great relationships with the musical artists, we were able to back a lot of the artists as well weekly. So from Placido Domingo to Alice Cooper, and from jazz to hip hop, from Herbie to Sting to Bette Midler to, it didn't matter for us. And we were able to change gears, and Garth Brooks and whoever it is, and it was great for us because not only were we just playing bumpers in and out of commercial, but we were doing just so much, so many other styles of music. And so it made it really, really enjoyable. It was really, again, I mean, I can't say enough about how great Jay was to work with as well. And it was a great situation. I mean, it could have gone on for 30 years for me as far as I'm concerned, but everything ends and new beginnings happen. So it's good,
Before I let you go, you mentioned your Emmy win from 2 years ago. That was for Taking the Stage, African American Music and Stories That Changed America. And I remember talking to you about that a couple of years ago when you were in the hunt for your Emmy. So perhaps I can be your good luck charm again. But let me just ask you what that recognition meant for you.
That was my 7th nomination, and maybe 7's the charm, but hopefully 9's the charm. So maybe odd numbers are the charm. I don't know what it is, but I'll tell you, man, I'm so grateful to be recognized by my peers. And someone said to me, "You finally got what you deserve," when I won. And I thought about it even in that moment, and I said, I actually deserved this every time I was nominated, because my peers voted and they felt that I deserved it. But it wasn't my time, and this is my time. So if I win again, that'll be my time. But I don't want something that is that doesn't belong to me. In that particular year, if the peer group voted that this person is the one, then that's what it is. And I celebrate this art this is the highest level, and this is the highest honor that people working in television can receive. So I consider it an honor. It's an honor to work in this business, an honor to serve. And it was great for me. I'll tell you the thing that was the greatest thing of all for me was for me to be able to thank my mom at that moment. And, my background is I came from Louisiana and grew up in South Central in the projects in Watts. And so for kids like me who look at their future and maybe not think that it's possible, if that win makes them think that it's possible and gives them the power to dream big, then that's what that award was for.
Well, Rickey, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you again, and good luck at the Creative Arts Emmys.
Yeah. Well, you're my good luck charm. So maybe see you in a couple of years on another odd year.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thanks to all you at home for watching. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button below, and make sure you visit us at goldderby.com for all the latest Emmy news.